Sarabande from the G major.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
How do you spell it? R-A-H-M-A-A-N.
R-A-H-M-A-A-N. Okay, Ramon. Very, very nice playing. The sarabands are the emotional heart of the Bach suites. Got all these dance movements and fast movements and stuff. And the sarabande is really where things slow down and it's the heart of the piece. Although, strangely enough, the sarabande was originally a lascivious dance back in the 1500s and so forth. It was actually banned in the Holy Roman Empire because it was thought to be too lascivious. It was sort of the lambada of the 15th century or something. But then somehow it slowed down and it became... you all know the joke about the very religious groups who don't believe in sex because it might lead to dancing? That's what the sarabande was all about. What I really like about what you do with this piece is the mood that you create. Because it's a very, very peaceful mood, and the way you play it, it could easily function, in fact, as the heart of a performance of the suite. So I love the mood, and I love the peacefulness of it. I also love your intonation, which is excellent. It's great. Very, very well in tune. The second half, by the way, you can repeat the second half, too, you know.
I don't want to put you all to sleep.
No. Nobody was going to sleep. I didn't hear any snoring, anyway. I once heard of a cellist who was asked how he decides whether or not to repeat the second, to take the second repeat in Bach suites, and he says he gauges it by how much coughing there is in the audience. And if there's a lot of coughing, he doesn't take the repeat. Anyway, but here's the thing. I think that you can be even more effective with even more sound, with a richer sound. Because the first connection we make with the audience is with the sound. And this is, after all, a sensual art that we're talking about. And music, sound actually moves us literally, right? It makes the little hairs inside our ear vibrate, and if it's loud enough, it actually makes our whole bodies vibrate. I remember years ago at a master class conducted by my former boss, Rostropovich, Mstislav Rostropovich tells you all heard of Rostropovich? Wonderful guy, told terrific stories, and he was talking about this idea of sound, and half of these stories he might have invented, I don't know, but he talked about somebody with a bow and arrow and shooting the bow and arrow with a string attached to the arrow, and the performer shoots the arrow, and the arrow has a string, and the arrow goes right to the heart, and it's the sound that is the rope, that is the string that connects the performer to the heart of the audience member. So, on the one hand, we're inviting people in to hear what we do. And that is the strong suit of what you just did. You really invited us in. Now, you may have noticed there wasn't a sound in the audience while you were playing, because you created an atmosphere and you invited us in. But you also have to go out, and you have to reach us. And you can't always be demanding that people come in. And another thing Rostropovich once said in the master class, which was great, was that it doesn't matter how beautiful your sound is, if after 10 minutes the sound stays the same. He said, pretty soon guy in audience is saying to next guy in audience, where are you going for dinner? Oh, I don't know. Where are you going for dinner? Right? So it doesn't matter how beautiful it is. It has to be varied, and it has to change. So what I'd like to see you do, and I think sometimes you may think you have to depend on your vibrato a little bit too much for the sound. This is what makes the sound. If I were you, I would practice without vibrato, making as big and beautiful a sound as you can, and phrasing just how you want without vibrato. Then you add in vibrato. It's like adding in when you're cooking, stirring and stuff. You want just enough. You want just the right vibrato. And we can, at some point, work on vibrato. But let me see you start again, and I'll digress one more time. I had a lesson about 30 years ago from a guy who was not a musician. He was a philosopher. And I played for him the first movement of the Hindemith Solo Sonata, which is a very angular, stark kind of thing. And he talked to me about qualities and about the very Eastern philosophical concept of every quality embodying its opposite. Think of a yin and yang. Think of anima animus, masculine, feminine. Any full quality is like a circle that embodies not just the quality itself, but also the opposite of the quality. Think of the strongest lock, the best made lock you can imagine. Well, if it's really good lock, you can turn it smoothly and easily and open it like that. Now, I like to pair this idea with the idea expressed by the philosopher Nietzsche, who once said the only proof of strength is an excess of strength. Now, I'll show you what I mean. Can somebody hand me anything? Anything I can pick up. Never mind. A pen. My glass. What do you got?
Keys.
Keys. Good. Okay. So, suppose these keys weigh 75 pounds. 75 pounds. If I'm really, really, really strong, I pick up the keys very gently, and I put them down as lightly as you please. You don't know how strong I am, because what proves my strength is the gentleness with which I put down the keys. If I'm less strong, I have to struggle, and when I put it back down, it goes down hard. So that's funny. What was gentle and easy was the demonstration of greater strength. So, here are your keys. Let's see what kind of car you got. Anyway, what I would recommend, what this fellow recommended to me 30 years ago, and what I've been doing myself ever since and recommending to students ever since, is if there is a quality that you think is the main quality of something, practice the opposite. So, for example, the main quality of the Sarabande is a sort of a peaceful something, right? I don't know, what would you call it?
Peaceful celebration.
Peaceful celebration, that's interesting, okay. At any rate, peaceful and there was a gentleness to what you did. Okay, can I see you play it with no nuance at all, as if it's marked double forte and just loud and crude? Can you just play it? I want you to play it loud and crude.
Okay.
And take as many bows as you want. Don't try to do it with your own bowings. Take as many bows as you want, separate bowings, and just play it loud. Or as Rostropovich would say, loud. You must play it loud. Okay, play loud. As loud as you can. Go ahead.
Should I face them or you?
Yeah, play.
Okay.
Okay, stop. So first of all, it turns out he can play a lot louder than he was playing before. Right? Yeah, okay. Loud. Keep going. Loud as you can. And no nuance, no diminuendos, everything loud.
Okay. I forgot how it goes.
Yeah. Okay, do it again. Do it again. As loud as you can. I love it. Okay, so first of all, it turns out that's not a bad sound, is it? That wasn't an ugly sound, wasn't it? That was just a big sound. Was it ugly? No. It was a nice sound. It was a big sound. So it turns out you can play that loud and make a nice sound. Okay, so the other thing you have to remember is when you're trying to play something piano, it has to sound piano to these people sitting there. They have a lot of money. They paid for the expensive seats up there. But it also has to reach the back. Again, I hate to keep mentioning Rostropovich, but when I was in school, I went to Carnegie Hall to hear Rostropovich play, and he played a Bach suite. And I was in the cheap seats. I was in the last row of the last balcony. And he sounded as if he was in my lap playing. Right there. Now, he had a nice cello too, but it wasn't just the cello. It's how he played it. Okay, so you have to remember that you want to play with a peaceful quality, but it's got to reach the back. So now that you've played loud and what felt to you like brutal, play the piece the way you want to play it. My guess is that there's no way on earth you're going to go back to how quiet it was before. Try it. All right, so already, that's a whole different volume from what you did when you started before. I know you're a little nervous before too, but still, that's very different. Okay, do it again. Now, big but gentle. So I don't think there's a marking in the original manuscript. Well, there is no original manuscript, but there's no marking in the music that says clobber this opening. No, right? All right. So don't clobber the opening, but play it big.
Okay. Sorry that I stopped, but like you mentioning how the piano has to reach everybody, I have trouble with that, like finding the threshold between like playing a piano but still keeping my bow like into the string so that the sound does carry.
You just did it.
When I'm listening, it sounds like it's kind of like a completely different timbre of when I'm like digging into the string. And so is that just something that I'm hearing?
You just did it. Whatever you just did, bottle it. That was good. Now, here's the thing. You need to get this reheard back, okay? Pretty bow, but it needs reheard. So if I'm going to start to play a piece piano in a big hall, now next to your ear, that's pretty loud.
Yeah.
But out there, that doesn't sound like, oh, he's playing forte. It just sounds, it has the quality I want, but it's reaching out there, right? But if I went, they were already falling asleep out there because the sound doesn't get out there. Okay. Now, if I wanted to play it loud, it probably wouldn't be that much louder, but it would have a different quality. So it's a whole different vibrato, but it's not really that much louder than that.
Yeah, okay.
It's quality, okay?
Yeah.
Now, I don't particularly think you have to do two down bows. Or you hear how loud that is right here? But it's not too loud out there. It's just full. Try it. You were doing it before.
Okay, with the...
Well, do your two down bows for now. That's all right. But we certainly don't want to hear dom, pa, yam, right? Okay. And did you see what the work that Julia was doing before? Were you here for that? No.
I came in right
Okay.
at the end.
Can you use your body a little bit rather than standing straight when you're doing these chords? Help yourself by using your body to play them a little more gently and roundly. Okay? Go ahead. Okay, so ya papi, da 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 da. You don't have enough bow left to make enough sound for that. So you either have to change your bow or save your bow. Okay. I think you're slipping a little back into the softer sound. Keep up a full sound. Don't think loud, think full. Play it again and think full. What I don't like about the two downs is that I recognize that the Sarabande is supposed to have an emphasis on the second beat, but it seems like it just stops the music by yam. Yeah, so on your own time, I would practice the up bow. But for now, do it again. But think full. Think full, Ramon. Full.
Okay.
Full. Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. When you do that da 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 all the way to the frog, so you have the whole bow to use, and the frog is where it's easiest and cheapest to make a lot of sound. Did you pay for that bow?
No, actually.
You did? Oh, well, somebody paid for the bow. You might as well use the whole thing rather than just using, part of it, right? Okay. So. Yes. Yeah, sorry. Yes, that was good. Yeah, that was great. Did you hear how much more sound? Did everybody hear how much more sound he had when he went to the frog? Yeah. Okay, do it again. Do it again. Sorry. I'll be quiet. Beautiful, this playing. I mean, does everybody hear the difference? I mean, it's extraordinary. That's really beautiful. I mean, that's not just okay. That's really beautiful. Okay? So that's what you have to remember. Play more, you play full.
It sounds so different in the practice room, though,
I know it sounds different in the practice room, but you got to get used to that, and you got to get used to, like I was saying to Julia, you're not bothering anybody.
Right.
This is what we want to hear. We want to hear the sound and feel the sound.
Okay.
And that was terrific. That was gorgeous. Now, I would work on the vibrato. You need to do vibrato exercises so that you can vary your vibrato more, because you have a little bit of an on-off vibrato. Yeah. So it's just either fast and narrow or not at all. Yeah. So work on your vibrato. You want to keep this. Yeah, let me have you want to keep this first. The secret to a nice vibrato is keeping this first joint loose. So rather than being up like this, you can't do anything when you're up like that, right? It has to be, your fingers have to be coming back a little bit, and you have to keep this first joint loose. And I would practice Doing bow strokes where you change vibrato during the course of the bow stroke. A fast bow with a slow vibrato. Slow bow with a fast vibrato. And vary the speed. Work on your vibrato. Work on making the phrase you want without vibrato so that you get used to the vibrato being something that you control rather than something that either just comes on or goes off. Okay? But it's beautiful playing, and keep playing full like that. And also, remember, and again, we were talking about this. Anybody have a camera? This is great for the cameras. Okay, but that's not the way you want to play, because it's very hard to play up there, right? You want to play here. Now, I hope, look like I'm playing in a cave or a telephone booth, right? But it's not here because it just makes it harder to, so you want to be comfy. Okay. We were talking about boxing before. You want to be comfortable. I mean, a boxer wouldn't hold his hands up here, right? You have no gravity, you have no force. So it's a nice chin rest.
Thanks.
Can I have it? No, never mind. So, and with the bent knee, your left knee using, okay, so not, you make it a little harder for yourself. All right. Congratulations. Okay, great job. My pleasure. Was it good?